Hi everyone, and welcome back to my series on how to get started with Premiere Pro. So last time, my last video, we went over on how to start a new project and how to import footage and media into Premiere Pro. So today we're going to be going straight on to the next thing from that, and it's how to put that footage and media into a sequence, and then also how to make cuts to that sequence. So for the sake of this, I've downloaded some royalty-free video and some royalty-free music that I'm going to be using. So I'm going to start again, just as a bit of a refresher. We're going to start a new project, and then we're going to get into it, and I'll show you how to do sequencing and cutting. So we're going to open up Premiere Pro, and we'll do the same as what we did last time by making a new save file in our file. So we get that, and then we can go new project. And I'm going to call this, the title is going to be called Sequencing and Cutting. So again, we can change the location of where the Adobe saves, the auto saves and the files. So if I go to my desktop, I've made a file here called Sequencing and Cutting. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to use that folder to save all my save files in so I know where everything is. Again, don't need to change anything in here, and we can go OK. And I'm going to replace that because I started again. I did try and make this video about 5 minutes ago, and I was interrupted by Rupert, my little dog, who went crazy barking. So this is my second attempt, so just bear with me. So again, we need to go to, if we can remember last time, we need to go to import media. So I'm going to use Control-I, and then that takes me straight to my sequencing and cutting file. Again, apologies, I have been a bit naughty. I haven't organized my media into audio and sound and images and footage, but just for the sake of this, we're just going to select all of this because we want all of it, and I'm going to open it in here. Right, so I had this idea for this example where I thought what I could do is I could get like a whole range of different like stock images of like urban environments and then natural environments, and we could sort of have this sequence of progression from urban to environmental. It's just an idea, it's just a way that I can show you what to do. So we're going to start with, we want to start with the urban first and then going to the more natural environments. So here's all of our footage that we imported as we went over last time. So I think I want to start with this really cool city. So maybe like I want to look at this before I put it in. So like last time, I'm going to double click it. It comes up in our viewing screen here, and I can play it back. So this is what it looks like. It's really cool. It's like a drone shot, and it kind of like zooms out really slowly. So that's a really cool opening. So that's what I'm going to use first. So that's going to be my first video that I'm going to put in to my sequence. So as we remember from last time, this big box here is your sequence timeline. And you can see here it says drop media here to create new sequence. So all we need to do is click, I want this video, click and drag it. I'm going to drag it in here. And then automatically you've created a new sequence, and all this new stuff pops up on here. So I'll just quickly go through what all of this means. So pretty basic. At the top, this is how long the video is, and this at the top here is seconds. So this is like 4 seconds, 8 seconds, 12, 16. So it's just shy of 20 seconds, this image, this clip. So on the left-hand side here, you've got all your visual or video channels. So this is where you can layer different images or visual elements to your sequence. So if you want, and you can add more. So on the audio and visual channels, you've got this sort of like this gray sort of dead space area here, and you can actually click on this to do a couple of different things. So the first thing is you can double click in this gray space, and then it enlarges the channel so you can actually see the image on the channel. You can also right click on the dead space and you can go add track. So I've just added another track. So let's say if you wanted to like layer multiple titles and images on top of this original video, then you can just keep adding things on there. And it's the same with the audio. If you wanted to just add, if you want to go right click, add track, you can just continue to add sound effects, music, things like that. And sometimes the sequence can get pretty cluttered with different things because you're just layering things on. You're layering sound effects on top of each other. Yeah, it all depends on what project you're creating and what you're planning on doing. So I've got my first one in here, and I'll just like to note that this video doesn't contain any audio. So if it had audio, the audio bar would come up under here, and it would come up in here. And again, I've just double clicked the gray space in here, and that allows you to see the audio in more detail. You can see the waveform, things like that. So I've got my first clip, and the second clip that I want to put in, because we want to make this illusion that we're sort of coming away from the city and into nature. So I'm going to use the cars clip. So I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to put that next to it. There's an easy way to go as well. If you'll probably come into a situation where you need to perfectly align two videos together. So if you put it in, you can put it in like that, and usually it snaps to the other image pretty naturally. If you needed to, another way to do it is, again, click the dead space here. So this is just this blank dead space between the two images, and it highlights it when you click it, and then go delete, and then that snaps your images to get your visual images together on your video and makes a perfect cut. So if we watch this through just right now, this is what we've got. So we've got this opening image of the city, and it slowly pans out. It's a very long shot, and we're going to cut this down, and I'm going to show you a couple of ways of how to do that. And then we're getting to the end, and then it will cut to the cars, and the cars go. So like I said before, this opening clip, it looks great, but it's a bit too long, and I want it to be a lot shorter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and cut it in half. So I want to put a cut here. Now, this blue cursor in the line is very important because it basically allows you to very accurately cut and make very precise cuts to different things. And it might, you'll more than likely when you're editing come to a point where you need to shave off just a couple of frames of an image to make it right. So you're literally talking about not even a second of footage, but there's a couple of frames that you need to get rid of. So if you want to get really, really down into it, I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But let's just say we want to, at this point here, we want to cut it, right? So this is where you can press the C tool, C on the keyboard, just the letter C. And I always remember it's C for cut, okay? And then it turns it into this little razor blade tool that you can see here. My mouse has changed. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to line my razor blade tool up with the blue line, and I'm going to click. And now I've made a cut. So I've cut my first image in half. So the next thing I want to do is I want to delete this first bit of the image. So to do that, you press V on the keyboard, and then it turns it back into the mouse tool. Now these are really easy, and I like this because C and V are next door to each other on the keyboard. So you've got your C for the cutting tool, and then V for the mouse. And I kind of remember V because V looks like the little mouse cursor, the arrow. So that's just an easy way of doing it. So I'm gonna go and I'm just gonna click that, the opening bit. I'm gonna delete it. And then I want to move all of my sequence back to the start of the timeline. So again, I'm just going to click the dead space here, highlight it, and then just press delete. And then it snaps it back to the start, all of it together. So it's a nice, really quick way of doing it. Now, say for argument's sake, you didn't want to do that. You want to go back and you made a mistake and you actually want to keep the opening bit. You can go Control Z for undo, and then it moves. So I've moved it back, and then I've moved replaced the bit of video that I deleted, and I'll press Control Z again, and then it removes the cut. There's a couple of ways you can get your footage back. So you can undo if you've done it quick enough. Say you have been say you've deleted a bit of footage, and maybe a couple of days have gone by, and you've been working on it, and then you come back to this particular point and you want to get that footage back. And obviously you can't undo everything you've done, okay, because you've been working for hours on it. The footage will always be here. It's never ever fully gone, right? So say I want to bring this back, and it's a week later since I made this cut, and I want to bring this back. So if you hover your mouse, again, making sure that it's the arrow tool, so V. If you hover your mouse over here, and it'll just at the end of it, it turns into this red arrow in like a bracket. So you're just going to click, hold, and drag, and that brings the whole image back. So it's always there, and Premiere Pro remembers it. So yeah, you can. That's another way that you can cut, and vice versa. You can hover. It turns into the little red arrow bracket tool, and the arrow's facing the other way. Click, drag to the blue bar, and we're back to normal. Okay, so there are two ways that you can make some cuts, and it's the same with the audio. So let's just add a few more. Let's just add the rest of our images. So we've got this nice clip of like a little stream and a log. Let's put that in there next to this one. Cool. And then we've got this really beautiful lake. It looks super like New Zealand. I'm not too sure if it's New Zealand, but it looks like really like it. So I'm going to put that next to there. And then finally, this is my favorite one. These mountains look awesome. And it kind of reminded me of like the Lord of the Rings, which is why I picked this one, because it was really cool. So I'm going to click and drag that in. Okay, so I've got all my images. They're all here. We've got this journey from the city to the mountains. It's quite cool as well, because we're like zooming out from the city, and in the very last one we're zooming into the mountain, which is pretty cool. So I'm really happy with that. And I just want to add my music. So I've got my sound here. This is the music that I chose. It's kind of like this kind of peaceful ambient music. So this works exactly the same as your video. You click and drag your audio, but you drag it into audio 1 here, and it's at the bottom. And as you can see here, you can see the waveform. This bar also allows you to change the volume of the music. And this is what we're sort of left with at the end. This is what we're left with at the end here. So the music really adds a different sort of feeling and tone to the to it. And again, I just did this all just with stock images and footage and royalty free. It's all royalty free. Cool, so I think we get the idea. And I think that's a good place to stop that particular tutorial. So that's so that's how you sequence and do basic cutting. And the next, we're going to be getting into it again next time. I think we're going to be looking at doing the next couple of videos. I'm going to be showing you how to put titles, how to do basic transitions and effects, and all the way up to sort of being able to put a basic project together that you can then export and print off for your project. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you again next time. Thanks.